Tires burnt rubber as the GLA sped down the freshly paved road. The birthday girl in Ice and Snow's motorcycles, affectionately dubbed the twin cycles, following close behind. It was a shame. Newly replaced asphalt stained and ruined by blood and body parts. Thankfully, no one from the city would be cleaning it up, seeing as how they were most likely mauled to death. Once again, such a shame. The large skyscrapers and various buildings with other lights still surrounded them, casting shadows so dark that it reminded the survivors of the 10 dark nights filled with the shining stars. Everyone was in awe by the mystical beauty that the city produced, moved by how everything looked so futuristic despite the situation they were currently in. Darkpit and Pitt weren't all too fascinated, seeing as how they had been to Forsyth many times in their younger years. Forsyth was a somewhat large city that separates Smashville from Onett. Fancier than the previous two towns, Forsyth was seen as a place that was beyond the times to most people. Now it was seen as a dangerous place to travel in, and for good reason. The city held the perfect places to hide zombies and shady little characters. A great location to get screwed over, and Darkpit wasn't about to allow that to happen. This is why the Angel broke every speeding law known to man, much to Peach's chagrin, who wanted to keep the law intact. No zombie apocalypse would cause this girl to be a lawbreaker, though she has technically killed many people already, but the living dead doesn't count, now does it? "It's quiet," Darkpit said, reclining in the driver's seat as he kept one hand on the steering wheel, driving at 80 miles per hour, and surprisingly, not a lot of flesh eaters around. "You're right," Lucina agreed. "It should be easy to dispatch any stragglers, but we should still be careful, so we don't lure out a horde." "Talking like a true strategist there, aren't ya?" Darkpit smirked, decidedly glad that she chose to ride in with him. He liked the way that this Lucina character talked, and looked. Not a lot of girls capture Darkpit's fancy like that. Cute, smart, and overall a beast. It's a perfect combination. "My uncle Reflet and my mother Robin, well, they always like to play chess," Lucina remarked. Formulating strategy always came easy to them, and they would teach Martha and I some tricks. Lucina closed her eyes for a moment, sighing heavily. "I can only pray that they're safe." Martha held Lucina's hand, squeezing it tightly. "It'll be alright, Lucina. We'll find everyone, and we'll make sure that they're safe." "I hope so, Martha," the brunette replied, a solemn tone in her voice. "I really do." Darkpit sighed. Hope wasn't a concept he really believed in anymore. He usually looked down upon others who wished for unrealistic miracles and ideals, but now this one unrealistic wish became an expectation. "Patu, we should pull over," Palutena said, staring absently out the window. Survey our surroundings. "Don't call me Patu," the Dark Angel responded, following Palutena's suggestion. He rolled down the window and stuck his arm out, making a flicking gesture with his left hand to the pink cart and the motorized bikes behind him. "Sorry, Patu." Though he couldn't see her face, he knew that the green-haired, oversized brat was smirking at him, knowing full well that he hated being called Patu, and she would say it in front of Lucina and Marth. What does Pit even see in her? Is there an option to throw her out of the car? Snake was the last one to step out of the vehicle, seeing as how he had fallen asleep on Link's shoulder. It had taken all of the Hylian's energy to awaken him from his deep slumber, and eventually, opening his eyes to see the dirt road in front of him. He didn't know how he ended up on the ground, but he was pretty sure a certain Volapine was the cause. "Oh dear goddess, he's awake," Link said. He kneeled down and extended a hand. "Sorry for having to put you on the cold, disgusting ground." Snake blinked twice, his eyes heavy, and sweat sounds of sleep beckoning him. "You put me on the ground?" he asked groggily. Link gulped. "Yeah." Snake stared at the Hylian for approximately 5 seconds, though it seemed like a life-threatening eternity for Link. It was rather frightening and completely surprising when Snake began to chuckle heartily. He stood up quickly, slightly wobbling as his body got used to being awake, and patted Link on the back. The confused Hylian's peculiar green hat nearly fell off. "It's alright, Linky," the bounty hunter said. Link blinked. Linky? Dang, not even Zelda had ever called him that. I just thought that Volapine bastard had put me on the ground. See, then we would have had some serious problems. I'll tell you that much. Link shakily chuckled as Fox said, "Oh, we should have left him on the ground to die." "What did you say, Furball?" Snake demanded. "You heard me, you bastard." Lucina observed the ensuing argument between two friends. One would think that their voices should be lowered, seeing as how they were in the zombie apocalypse and all, but nope, here they were, screaming to the high heavens in numerous of profanities as Peach attempted to calm them down. The brunette thought it was a pretty futile action, and so was so absorbed in the argument like a group of rowdy kids watching a fight, that she didn't even notice the Dark Angel call her name. "Screwed Earth to Lucina," he marked. "Can you hear me?" Lucina slightly jumped and turned around, eliciting a small chuckle from Darkpit. The embarrassed caused a slight red tint on her face. Thank God Marth was currently talking to Link, otherwise he would have been teasing her in the typical older cousin fashion. "I'm sorry, Darkpit, I was just in a little world of my own." "Well, that's obvious, you little blueberry." "I believe it." Lucina paused momentarily. Did her ears just deceive her? Surely she wasn't just called a blueberry, and a little one at that. Lucina crossed her arms and narrowed her eyes, asking, "What did you just call me?" Darkpit gulped. The signs of a woman being pissed were very obvious to him. He saw it in Palatena quite often. The angel moved his dark bangs from in front of his eyes and chuckled. Little blueberry, it's just some joke I thought about. You know, because you and Marth both have blue hair, and Marth's older than you, so he's the big blueberry, and you're the younger one than him, so Darkpit stopped and sighed. I'm just gonna shut up now. Lucina shook her head. No, it's just I wasn't expecting to be adorned with such a nickname. She smiled, trying to convince Darkpit that she wasn't hostile. Honestly, Darkpit analyzed Lucina, and then laughed. Her not-so-futile attempts to placate whatever was supposed to offend her was amusing. Lucina eyed him strangely, confirming her beliefs that Darkpit had already gone off the deep end. I know, Lucina. You're just one funny girl is all. Darkpit's reassurance brought a smile and a blush to Lucina's face. Why, thank you. I'm not that great with humor, so it's a bit surprising to see that you find me amusing, but I actually find you amusing as well. Darkpit nodded, hoping that his blush wasn't too deep. He did not expect her to say that. Maybe she was just saying that to be polite. She did seem like that kind of person. The Drake Angel did not expect Lucina to like the kind of humor that he has. The crude, crappy humor that'll get a kick out of people like Snake and make the most innocence of innocence blush. Thanks, he stuttered. He silently cursed himself for stumbling through a simple acknowledgement of gratitude like an idiot. It was a simple compliment. What was his problem? You know, you're strong, too. Lucina's smile faded away. She looked at the dirty ground, shaking her head. No, I'm not as strong as you think.